Around 1789, during the early days of the French Revolution near Paris, Countess d'Adhémar, a biographer and lady-in-waiting to Marie Antoinette, received a mysterious note that said, "Meet me at the Récoleta church." When she arrived, she encountered none other than Count Saint-Germain, who was supposedly deceased for 5 years. However, instead of looking like an 80-year-old man, which Saint-Germain should have been at the time, he appeared to be around 40 years old. This was documented in the memoirs of Marie Antoinette, the last monarch of France. One of the earliest public sightings of Saint-Germain dates back to 1743 in London. Revered by various esoteric orders, he was considered immortal in the 18th century. Today, the name Saint-Germain has become synonymous with divinity and even a watch brand, but it's hard to find official records about his origins, existence, or death. Saint-Germain was known for leading a contemplative and ascetic life, renouncing sensory pleasures, devoted to celibacy, practicing meditation, and mastering alchemy. He was a scholar and polyglot, with knowledge ranging from chemistry to history, poetry, music, psychology, and politics. Additionally, he was a talented violinist, played various musical instruments, and composed complex works, including a charming opera attributed to him. He was also a master in the art of fabrics, dyeing them with a mysterious substance that prevented his clothes from fading. Wherever Saint-Germain went, he left his mark, such as in Belgium, where it was said that he transformed iron into gold. The renowned Swiss philosopher and writer Jean-Jacques Rousseau, along with the English politician and novelist Horace Walpole, who introduced the Gothic novel as a literary genre, had the chance to meet the enigmatic Count of Saint-Germain. Over the years, many people reported encounters with this fascinating man who, according to accounts, never seemed to age. While those around him showed signs of aging, Saint-Germain maintained the appearance of someone around 45 years old. Various reports indicate that he reappeared under different names, but for those who knew him, there was no doubt that it was the same Saint-Germain in disguise. He was a close friend of Grand Duke Giovanni Gastone, the last of the famous Medici family, and in 1758 he developed a friendship with King Louis XV, to whom he gifted diamonds and precious stones. Some say that Saint-Germain won the monarch's trust by mysteriously restoring a broken diamond. Rumors also suggest that Alessandro Cagliostro, a famous traveler, occultist, alchemist, healer, hypnotist, and 18th century Freemason, was a disciple of Saint-Germain. Cagliostro, who died in Rome on August 28, 1795, at the age of 52, is considered an adventurer by some historians, but he was also an initiate in occultism and knew a lot about astrology. Max Heindel, in chapter 17 of his book, The Rosicrucian Concept of Cosmogony, mentioned that Saint-Germain was one of the incarnations of Christian Rosenkreuz, the founder of the Sacred Order. According to this Rosicrucian doctrine, Saint-Germain achieved union with the Holy Spirit. Heindel also noted that, due to his ability to speak multiple languages, everyone he spoke with believed he was from their own nationality. The famous writer and philosopher Voltaire once said about Saint-Germain that he was a man who knew everything and who never died. In the book Origins and Mysteries of Count Saint-Germain, Isabel Cooper Oakley reveals that he might have been an illegitimate child of royalty, such as the widow of Charles II of Spain or even the King of Portugal. However, some believe he could have been the child of a simple Portuguese, an Alsatian Jew, or a tax collector from Rotondo. Another theory suggests that Saint-Germain could be the son of Prince Rákóczi of Transylvania, supported by reliable sources and information that Cooper Oakley had access to. The general consensus among different historical perspectives is that the legendary Count Saint-Germain is one of the most intriguing figures of the 18th century. His life can be viewed from various angles, from a wise alchemist to an eccentric noble. It is currently believed that he was born in Transylvania on May 28, 1696, although some sources point to the year 1709. He was likely the child of Francisco II Rákóczi, an exiled prince from Transylvania, but there are also references suggesting he could have been the child of Marie-Anne de Neubourg, the widow of Charles II of Spain. Additionally, historical records indicate that Saint-Germain was educated in Italy under the care of the Duke of Medici. In the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, Canadian mystic and author Manly Palmer Hall discusses the contradictory nature of the information surrounding Saint-Germain. According to Hall, it is generally believed that this enigmatic adept was born around 1710, but the Countess d'Adhémar claims to have seen him in Venice that same year, where he appeared to be between 45 and 50 years old. Even though church records from Eckernförde indicate Saint-Germain's death in 1784, there are reports of him being seen on multiple occasions after that date. He is said to have attended a Masonic conference in 1785, was recognized in Venice in 1788, and one of the last historical mentions of him is from 1822, when he was reportedly setting sail for India. According to the Fraternitas Rosae Crucis Antiqua, the renowned scholar Sir André Long, an expert in Greek, French, and English literature, as well as anthropology, Scottish history, telepathy, and other scientific fields, wrote a fascinating article about the mysterious figure of the Count of Saint-Germain. He raised several questions. Did the Count of Saint-Germain really die between 1780 and 1785 at the palace of Prince Charles of Hesse-Kassel? Or did he escape from a prison where Groley claimed to have seen him during the French Revolution? Could he have been the enigmatic Lord Lytton? However, the true testament to Saint-Germain's genius lies in his political insight and vision regarding the situation in Europe. Historical records and esoteric references describe how Saint-Germain would astonish others by evading the blows of his political adversaries. Because of this, he was often invited to participate in various secret missions for European governments, always carrying credentials that granted him access to the most exclusive and strict political circles. Interestingly, Saint-Germain was also known for his love of elegant dinners, though it wasn't for the food. He never ate or drank in public, instead preferring to nourish himself with a mixture of oats and semolina that he prepared himself. His true motivation was the social interaction, as he was a tireless and brilliant conversationalist, charming everyone around him with his eloquence. The Count of Saint-Germain was an extraordinary polyglot, fluently speaking languages like French, English, Spanish, Portuguese, German, Italian, Bohemian, Arabic, Greek, Latin, Sanskrit, and Chinese. His phenomenal memory allowed him to recount details of events that had happened long ago, as if he had experienced them personally, which fueled the rumors about his supposed longevity. Beyond these remarkable abilities, Saint-Germain seemed to possess an almost supernatural gift. He could accurately predict the questions he would be asked, as if he were reading the minds of those he spoke with. Some people even claimed that he could sense when his presence was needed somewhere far away and would mysteriously appear at a friend's home without even opening the door to enter, and he would leave the same way. Various authors, like Voltaire and Rousseau, had some contact with Saint-Germain, but most accounts don't reveal much about his religious or philosophical beliefs or the secret teachings he supposedly shared with a small circle of disciples. An interesting reference to the Count appeared in the London Chronicle between May 31st and June 3rd, 1760, under the title Stories of a Mysterious Stranger from Germany. Saint-Germain carried the reputation of a powerful alchemist who possessed a secret powder, which was believed to be the universal remedy. There were rumors that he knew how to make gold, and the luxurious lifestyle he led seemed to confirm this story. However, when the minister of the time learned about this, he responded with disdain and ordered an investigation to discover the source of Saint-Germain's wealth. Despite the inquiry, Saint-Germain continued to live as usual, always paying for everything in cash, with no one ever finding out the source of his fortune. The Count of Saint-Germain was known for his extraordinary memory, which he claimed to have developed by regularly reading Il Pastor Fido by Battista Guarini, a renowned Italian poet and Renaissance courtier who lived from 1538 to 1612. After a troubled relationship with the Duke of Ferrara, Guarini retired to his ancestral farm, where he wrote Il Pastor Fido, the Faithful Shepherd, first published in Venice in 1590. Guarini was a polemicist who, like Torquato Tasso, advocated for a universal reform of human society. His work, Il Pastor Fido, is a distinctly Rococo piece, elegant in style, and has been performed many times over the years. It's said to have inspired The Faithful Shepherdess by John Fletcher. Guarini's work also offers clues about the knowledge Saint-Germain possessed in the occult sciences. Part of the manuscript is encoded without any obvious key for decryption, and it contains Gnostic symbols and illustrations that seem to allude to Greek mysteries. In the 19th century, French esoteric schools, like those of Eliphas Lévy, de Guaita, and Pappus, adopted much of their symbolism from the revival of ancient wisdom in the 18th century. It's interesting to note that many scholars of esoteric sciences might not be aware of these connections, as these French schools were deeply intertwined with the secret arts and sciences. During the second half of the 18th century, many European countries, particularly France and Germany, experienced a significant revival of esoteric beliefs. The political instability of the time led many people to seek comfort and guidance in ancient wisdom. This period saw the rise of miraculous beliefs, often referencing the Alexandrian school, which interpreted ancient Egyptian theology with an emphasis on magic and metaphysics. This resurgence breathed new life into the Rosicrucian movement, alchemy, astrology, the Hermetic arts, Kabbalah, and ceremonial magic. A vast amount of literature was produced, but there was also exploitation of the gullible by those seeking personal profit. Despite being surrounded by these confusing doctrines, the Count of Saint-Germain remained immune to popular mysticism and was never accused of fraud, despite many attempts to tarnish his reputation. His skills and accomplishments were widely admired at the time. He was a celebrated figure in high social circles, recognized as a talented artist, musician, skilled chemist, and a scholar deeply dedicated to yogic and tantric disciplines, which he was believed to have learned during a trip to India with Lord Clive. When among scholars, he displayed profound knowledge in almost every field of study. By the mid-1750s, Saint-Germain was well established in Paris, enjoying a good relationship with King Louis XIII, who lived from 1710 to 1774, and his favorite, Madame de Pompadour, the famous Marquise of Versailles. Madame de Pompadour, speaking about Saint-Germain's extraordinary talents, highlighted that he had a deep knowledge of all ancient and modern languages, as well as a prodigious memory. His vast erudition was evident in the whims of his conversations, which were always entertaining and at times deeply engaging. Saint-Germain had an endless ability to vary the tone and topics of his discussions. Sometimes he would recount anecdotes from the court of the Valois, or even older princes, with such impressive precision in every detail that it almost created the illusion that he had personally witnessed the events he described. He had traveled all over the world, and the king listened with great interest to his stories about his journeys through Asia and Africa, as well as his accounts of the courts of Russia, Turkey, and Austria. Saint-Germain seemed to know the secrets of each of these courts more intimately than the monarchs themselves. Due to his popularity and the trust he enjoyed, he stayed in the village of Chambord under the protection of King Louis XV. Saint-Germain seemed to have a genuine interest in what we now call industrial chemistry. He managed to persuade King Louis XV and later Prince Karl of Hesse-Kassel, who lived from 1744 to 1836, to establish laboratories for the production of paints and dyes. In 1760, he left France and traveled to England, the Netherlands, and Russia. In Russia, Saint-Germain was accused of conspiring against the emperor by supporting Catherine the Great to take control of the Russian state. He later moved to Belgium, where he took on the name Count of Surmont and acquired land. During this time, he offered his material treatment techniques to the Belgian government, but did not succeed. However, during negotiations, Saint-Germain reportedly transformed iron into a material similar to gold as a way to demonstrate his technical skills. Despite the many rumors, speculations, and possible misunderstandings surrounding the name of Saint-Germain in the 18th century, there is no evidence to prove that he was a saint in the ecclesiastical sense or that he was canonized by the Roman Church. The idea of his canonization might have arisen partly due to the intentional omission of the hyphen between Saint and Germain. However, Saint is just part of his name, similar to other compound names like Antoine de Saint-Exupéry author of The Little Prince, and Louis S. Saint Laurent, former Prime Minister of Canada. Just as no one assumes these men are literally saints in a religious sense, the same applies to Count Saint-Germain. However, for some theosophists, Saint-Germain is viewed as an ascended master of the violet ray, who supposedly burns away karma with the violet flame he is said to emanate. In this line of study, the last reported public appearance of Saint-Germain was in 1926 in Rome, witnessed by the theosophist C.W. Leadbeater. Some studies claim that after passing through Belgium, the Count disappeared for 11 years, resurfacing in 1774 in Bavaria under the name Count Zaragi. A few years later, Saint-Germain is said to have appeared in Germany as Well Done, marketing potions, elixirs, liqueurs, and cosmetics. In 1776, he purportedly declared himself a Freemason, gaining fame at the court of King Frederick II for his supposed ability to transmute base metals into precious ones. Around 1779, Saint-Germain settled at the residence of Prince Karl of Hesse-Kassel, governor of Schleswig-Holstein, who provided materials and grants for him to conduct experiments in hidden botany, creating remedies from plants to help the poor. On February 27, 1784, Count Saint-Germain was declared dead, supposedly from pneumonia, at a residence near the factory provided by the prince. His death was recorded in the annals of St. Nicholas Church, and he was buried on March 2nd. Records show that on April 3rd of that year, the Chamber and Mayor of Eckernförde issued a proclamation to auction off the few belongings left by the Count, as no relatives came forward to claim them. Saint-Germain left no will, only some esoteric and medicinal writings, a respectable body of musical work, and allegedly the book Holy Triad. What do you think of this intriguing story? I'd love to hear your opinion. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.